Good day, beautiful soul family, and welcome back to Discovery to the Miracles Beneath the Surface. All the honor and all the glory and praise goes to our Heavenly Father in Yeshua's name. Beautiful soul family, I usually don't do this, but I am doing um a message in reference to a TikTok that I saw, and the TikTok person that was going through, interesting enough, her channel on TikTok is called Healing Journey.
I'm in some serious need of some solid advice. Okay, so ladies, any ladies, please stop scrolling and just listen for a second, okay? Because I know somebody has been through this, okay? I am dating my boyfriend. I love my boyfriend. We've been together for almost 2 years. We've moved in together. We've been living together for 5 months. And it's just not the way it used to be. It really isn't. And anytime I go home, I just know that we're going to fight about something. I'm going to say something wrong, or my tone is going to be wrong, or I'm going to do something to where it's just our night's going to be ruined every single day. And I just don't know if I can do it anymore. Do I just need to take a break and leave the house for a couple of days? Or is this a sign that the relationship is not going to work in the future?
And so this is something, it's so interesting because I was going to put out a message about courting, even before courting. And I think I may put that message out because it is something, especially during this frame, that we have to protect ourselves, not soul family. How the Most High Yah showed me was this: when you plant a seed, when you plant a seed, you are preparing the soil. You dig up enough of the soil for the seed so it has enough space and enough height and enough width for that seed to grow. Now, what's so interesting is in this world, and I have experienced this in my life, is that there are so many different people, so many different inferences, so many different experiences that to try to stick to one level and one grade. See, when we go to school, we are not to stay in one grade for a long period of time. It says when a person finds its peak in high school, they're going to have a domino effect of a lot of disturbances in their life because they have peaked on a high level or come to a high peak in terms of high school. There's so much more. It's like when a person settles and there is so much more to experience in their life. And from that instance, from that set of wisdom, it's about when you plant the seed, you give it enough width, you give it enough space, but so that there could be a full growth. We meet different people and we think this is the one, but it's just a prerequisite. One of the beautiful things about courtship, even before courtship, is you're building friendship. You're saying to yourself, you know what, I really do like this person's company, and it's vice versa. And then you're still hanging out with people. Now, a lot of these things that I will be talking about is not something that is done. It's like a high-paced society where it's a 0 to 60. It's microwavable. There is no room for process. And if that in that process, it's not a natural process, it's a very genetically modified process. What's so interesting is when they grow a flower in the lab, it doesn't have a scent to it. But when they grow that flower in nature and everything is done naturally, you are able to hear, you're able to smell the effervescence. You're able to really appreciate the process by which that flower grew in nature than in a lab somewhere. And so when I'm bringing up those emphasis, the seed time and harvest, and also not high peaking in high school, and beauty of a natural process. Those are different pieces that we can put together in understanding why it is not good to take yourself, uproot yourself before you've even gone past the surface. You know, there's a lot of things where we're beautiful and we have a good heart and we see another handsome or beautiful person and we don't realize that we're still growing. And then we take that instance and that situation or event in our life and we try to catapult it in another direction that we were not meant to be there at that appointed time. So we try to rush it. Again, that's going from the 0 to 60. We don't really get to know that person. Listening is active. And so sometimes when a person is speaking, the other person is not really listening. They're thinking up of a rebuttal or a response or a reaction to what they are receiving. Okay? And so it's really important to listen because then when we're listening, we are really able to get a full compass of what that person is speaking, what that person is communicating. You know, it's not just verbal communication, it's also body language. And then when we interview that, let's say with drinking or whatever things are going on in that situation, sometimes even people are attracted to another person because of a hindrance that may happen in their own life. And they may not heal from that hindrance or traumatic event. And because they're not healed, they're able to attract someone else who has not healed. Now, the thing about it is when a person, they have to make that decision to heal. And so when one person heals, but the other person doesn't heal, there's a shift and there's no more of relation. So whenever you are going in your life, you say, well, once we moved in, things changed. Yes, once you moved in, you have disrupted your own growth. He's disrupted his own growth. You disrupted your own growth. The avenues, the different things that you were supposed to experience separately is now to the back burner. So the very things, it may be the right person, but because you both have moved in, you both are living according to a world that is a 0 to 60, bringing forth something that has been modified instead of bringing forth a relationship that can naturally be built. Whenever you rush something, try to take shortcuts, you're really hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself because you're hindering yourself or blocking yourself from truly experiencing something natural. And so, anyways, beautiful soul family, this lady is not the only one that is going through this. There's men going through this, women going through this. This is not just by the means of relationships. This is also by the means of finding a job, finding a career. The different decisions that we make in our life is always 0 to 60. But if we go ahead and put more research, if we go ahead and give ourselves more time, I'm a woman of the Most High Yah. So if we ask our Heavenly Father, should I do this or should I do that? We will definitely get an answer. We think, when we're looking into a relationship, we look at the temporary. We're not looking at the long haul. And so whenever you are learning and you're growing, it's so important to keep your space. Another thing to note is that when a farmer is digging up a hole in the soil, they don't put two seeds in the same soil. It's one seed at a time. And so, however, when that seed grows, there is nothing cramping its space. It's not two seeds that is put into one spot. It is one seed put into one spot, and they're given enough space, enough room to grow and to be nourished. And sadly enough, because you love someone or someone else loves you, in the early beginning stages of a relationship, that doesn't mean live together. Because now you have hindered your own growth, hindered your own space. You've cramped and crowded yourself out of naturally receiving the lessons that will make you strong to fulfill your purpose. It's like things are out of whack now. If you move out and you still continue that relationship, then it can be thriving, it can grow. So that is something that may not want to be heard, because when you get into a relationship, it's so refreshing and exciting. And it still can continue to be there. You just need to maintain your own space. It's like losing yourself in another person who is still in the midst of growing and they don't even know themselves. And that is a means of something very tragic. It can come to a tragic ending. I believe everybody is part of the learning lesson of life. Like, there's so many different lessons in life that we are to learn, as many prerequisites. But once we start joining ourselves in with another person's um one seater, it becomes cramped, and it becomes more of a hindrance than a joy. It's so important to have one's own space, because they are really able to see the good parts and the bad parts. This is why the journey on a path far less chosen, it looks like it's lonely, but it's not. So many things are being or found out about self. And sometimes when there are going to be things we don't like about ourselves, and there's going to be stages in which we are to grow from it, to heal it, to pull out the wounds. As I said before, sometimes when we're facing traumatic events and we haven't healed, it is up to that person to say, you know what, I choose to heal. But if the other person doesn't choose to heal, there's going to be a rift. So I think I have went a little bit too long in explaining it, but I think this will help out a lot. Jump the gun, I guess, is a term that was used in the past when you you feel good about what's going on right now, but you don't take account of where it's leading to. You know, how you get on how you get on a ride is wait, how you get on is how you ride out. Okay. So the foundation needs to be strong. And if you're trying to put too much on the foundation without it being strengthened, then other aspects of the house will fall. Until the next message, have a beautiful and wonderful day, and may Yahweh continue to bless you with his love, his peace, and his joy.